Live again. So we had some issues there from a tech point of view, so we had to go unlive and live again, and hopefully we are live now, but let's jump on people's channels and try and find out if that is the case.
I still
Mine's
don't think
gone.
that's working.
Mine's gone now.
Oh no. This is not going well between chapters. Let me say it says paired streaming. Okay, so I can see it on Between Chapters channel. Yours still doesn't work in Lit Wizard, I'm afraid.
That's okay. I will grab one of yours and I'll drop it in our chat.
If we this is riveting for people just watching us try to do tech support at the minute. If anyone's watching and happens to know how to connect Restream to
I'm just sharing Eric's right now in my chat and sharing it to.
Are you going to keep trying to
Nope.
make it work from a tech point of view, or give up?
I'm going to give up on my side, and we're just gonna we're live on your channels, and I shared the link with our community. I'll drop it in our Discord channel, and people can come and watch it on one of your channels. That's okay. That works for me.
Okay. Let's start again then, I guess. Do you want to do the intro again and get this?
Yeah, let's just start right over from the start. Yeah. Welcome to our live stream for our September buddy read of Rage of Dragons. I'm the Lit Wizard. I like literature. I think it's lit. And I'm a wizard. And I'm joined today by Joe from Talks of the Realms and Eric at Between Chapters. Introduce yourselves.
You can go first, Eric.
Okay, there we go. So my name is Eric. I'm from Between Chapters on YouTube. I am an aspiring author who has fallen in love with story, both as a way to escape from reality, but also understand my own journey of life. I'm also a coach, a resiliency coach for creatives, and I use story to help them become the hero of their own life story. So I'm excited to join you. 2 live streams in a month for us already. We're really high speed.
We're crushing it.
Yeah. Did Joe freeze?
Oh no, did we lose Joe?
Did Joe freeze? I'm like, dramatic pause or what?
I thought he was just like riveted by your introduction.
I know. I was like, wasn't that good? I could have done better.
Oh,
there he is.
We have Joe back.
This is a disaster. I lost internet for a second there as well. This is the worst intro ever, but we're here.
I'm sure this is entertaining.
Yeah.
So am I supposed to be introducing myself now? Is that okay? So I'm Joe from Talks of the Realm. I talk about anything fantasy, from books to worlds to games. I don't talk so much about games anymore, but mainly books, and a bit of sci-fi as well. And we are here today to talk about The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters. And some of us have differing opinions, so this should be a good discussion. The first element of this is going to be spoiler-free, so you can stick around even if you haven't read the book. And then we will go into spoilers a little bit later, and you will know because we'll put a little banner along the bottom that says spoiler warning.
Hey, look at that. Very fancy.
Nice.
Yeah, we can do that. We can't actually connect to YouTube channels, but we can put
we got
banner
that going for us.
There you go.
Cool. I mean, first of all, before we start talking about Rage of Dragons, I want to shout out you, Eric, for, I suggested this book to you for you to read, even though you didn't like it, but it was your idea to actually share it and do it as a buddy read to begin with the Discord community. And then obviously Joe also for actually setting all of this up, creating all of the graphics, managing everything in the background. Very much appreciate that. Really, this is awesome. I'm excited about it, even if it's not streaming to my channel.
Well, while we're chatting,
I'm not the one who did all of the work. It wasn't my idea, and I didn't set everything up, so that's okay. Works for me. Very much.
It's your community. You set up the Discord and got a load of people in there talking, including Joan as well, who's turned up. So thank you for coming along.
Hey.
Yo.
How's it going?
Who wants to kick it off then? Should we start with a positive view on the book first? Do a little bit of a shit sandwich.
Maybe we go around and we give like a quick, like spoiler-free, like what did we think of the book? What did we rate the book? And then we'll start like edging towards the spoiler territory. But yeah, why don't you start, Eric?
Yeah. Okay. So I will say my perspective a lot of times comes from me trying to be an author and a writer. So it's weird to have these conversations, because in me judging some other work by someone who's done something great, I feel like in a way I should be kinder, but I really appreciated his quality of writing. The book was well written. He clearly knows action. He clearly knows combat and the stuff like that. Like, it was excellent, right? My issue with the book was it did so much so well, but the stuff it did so much of is what I don't like at all in books. So I don't think this is a spoiler, but it felt like 70% of the book was rooted in combat. Like, there was always some kind of engagement that way. And it was choreographed so well, that every curve of a knife or every step was illustrated in this sequence. And it was like this epic thing. But for me, it just felt like the book could have been 200 pages shorter, and it would have been very captivating to me. I think from my perspective of not connecting with it, I still could appreciate the talent of this writer. Very brilliant writer. It's just one of those things that the content and the brilliance he had shone in an area that wasn't capturing me. So this is a great book. It just wasn't for me. And are we rating like on a 5, like a 5-star?
Whatever, however you like to rate a book.
Yeah, I would put it at a 2.5, just because I didn't like it, but I respect it. So I wouldn't want to go really low. So that's kind of where I'm at, spoiler free. There's a lot more I have to talk about, but I want to make sure I don't jump into those things before you guys share your thing. So that's what I'll leave for now.
Nice. I think for me, this was the first book that I've read that has been this good at combat. So for me, it was quite refreshing, because I know John Gwynne is always the one that people talk about in the fantasy space for well-described combat and action scenes. But I've not read any of his books yet. It's on my TBR, and I'll get around to it when I can. So I really enjoyed that. If we start with negatives from my side, I guess and this is a good thing, I guess, but also not so a good thing. The first opening chapter, the prologue and the chapter 1 was so awesome to me that the next like 10 chapters, I was like, can we go back to that? I don't really care about what's going on here. Can we go back to that? So it started a little rough, and I know from some of the other comments of people in your Discord who were reading along as well, they felt the same. They had some like slow moments in the early chapters, but by the time it was getting into it and it was all rolling, I was having a good time. When we get into the spoilers bit, there was one element of it that I did like quite a lot. So that's cool. And Ian here has actually just said that it's like the John Wick of books, and it sort of is like that in a way. So I can definitely see that making sense. But I think I gave it a 3.5 or 3.75 when I did the rating. So quite high. I've had a lot of 4+ books this year, so it's technically on the lower side, but still high, and I still enjoyed it. It just took a little bit for me to get into it. I'm also one of these readers that does not get into to romance in books. There's a bit of it's not huge, so this one's okay, but we were speaking about the second book in the Farseer trilogy before, and that has a bigger romance element, which is why I like that one less than the first one. So this had, especially early on, a bit of a cheesy romance. It actually ends up
that's fair.
It actually ends up becoming impactful and important, but right at the beginning when that happened, I was like, oh really, we're gonna just do the girl next door kind of thing in this. But as a whole, I enjoyed it and would recommend it, especially to people who either want to get a feel for like Western Africa as well, because that was good for me as well. I haven't read anything in that sort of inspired area, or you like a lot of action and go.
Yeah, I would say my my take is like very similar to yours. Like the first, like the prologue, chapter 1, I was like, okay, this is kind of dope. I can get into this. The dragons, great, love dragons. Who doesn't love a good dragon? But then I felt very much like the rest. Like it got a little bit sloggy. It felt very samey. I felt like, okay, I've seen these things before, especially coming off of some of the previous fantasy books that I had read. A lot of it felt inspired by a lot of those things, and you could tell that I think Evan Winter is like definitely a fantasy fan himself. And for me, it took quite a while for it to start feeling like it kind of had its own identity. But I feel once it got to that point, then I was like really into it, and by the end of the book, I think I ended up giving it a 4.
One other thing I just thought of as well is it did just happen to fall in a list of reading that I've been doing that's been about nobility and like fighting against a guy type thing. Like I know you said about I've not actually read it, but Red Rising is got that element. Yeah. I'd read quite a few books recently which have that as a theme as well, so I think I was a bit fatigued with the whole the nobles are out to get us type feel of a book. So when it started going down that route, I was a bit like, oh god, here we go again. Yeah. But it actually turned out okay in the end, so that was fine.
Yeah, there was a bit of that like underdog who's going through like military training and like learning how to fight and learn how to use magic. And I just felt like I just saw this in Assassin's Apprentice kind of with Fitz. I just, with Kaladin and Stormlight Archives, like it felt very much like that. So the first at least half of the book felt like, okay, I've seen this before, even with the the romance that you were talking about. The forbidden kind of like aspect of the romance, very similar to those books as well. So that's why for me it took a while for me to get into it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We got Jonas saying the chapter sections was a pretty nice setup. Felt like it was read fast, and could agree with Eric though. Some parts felt slightly unnecessary.
Yeah, I do like the chapter breakdown where it was like one chapter had like, it was a big chunk, but it was broken into all these subdivided things to give you that illusion. It gave me hope because sometimes when it slogged, I was like, I'm only in chapter 4 or 6 or whatever, but I crushed all of these little mini chapters, so that did help. And one thing I'll say is also the romance. Yeah, that was. I have some other comments that might be more spoilers, so I'll leave those. Sure. But the revenge story has been done a lot. And what I found, I should say, is going into a revenge story, it hits too close to home. Like I'm a veteran. And so when I deployed to combat, there was revenge, and it was this horrible drive, right? Like you go and someone kills your friend, like there's a combat casualty, and then you hate these other people, and hate is introduced to your heart, and you want a revenge, and you're just going to slam down anyone who opposes you or you could identify as the enemy. And you realize that person really isn't an enemy. They're just a different person who's fighting against you for their own reasons. And so I had this one moment where we're guarding these dignitaries' homes, and the kids and the people around us asking us questions as soldiers, what do we believe? And they had this belief that we were in cahoots with like Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, and it was all choreographed. And they said, this was the thing that stuck with me, and this is why one of the things in the book I didn't like was I was told by them that in Desert Storm, the children of that war were told by their parents that America was this bad, evil empire that was coming to destroy and steal. They came, we blew up stuff. And then those children grew up as I grew up, and from that era. And now I'm fighting those children who are telling their children that America came and killed their parents. And so now here I am. And if I do this, then I've reinforced to the child that I am this evil person, but I was just going on government directives. So there is this element of revenge stories that puts me off. I'm just kind of tired of them because it never ends. It's always this back and forth. So I didn't feel like there was going to be any resolution from the start of page 1, because I'm like, oh, this is revenge. Like the whole thing's a revenge plot. And so I think that put that taste in my mouth of like, it's going to be hard for me to like this book.
Yeah. Interesting. Like, have you read a book where you think they did it well?
Well, I think there's a lot of story, like let's say Batman, right? Like that's a revenge kind of plot to a certain degree. Spider-Man, they're all driven by this, but there's a sort of nobility in that, and honor, where it's like more generalized in fighting for the weak man, not saying I need, and there is this drive, like you want to find out who killed Batman's parents, or spoiler, sorry, Batman's parents died. So put the warning up. So like there is that, and I do think it can be done. It's just the way that the book did it here. It's really a big driver. Like there's almost Tao, the character, is, I mean, this, everything he does is like an insatiable desire to answer back this call, and that being the primary driver. I think if you can't filter in other motivations, other books do that, and I can't think of an example right now, but other books do have revenge, but they have so much else that's character development. The one thing I'll say is, in the beginning of the book, I wanted to follow Jabari. That was the first character I attached to, and then when we switched to Tao, I was like, oh, I don't like it, and the reason is that Jabari was a noble. More, I think he was like a noble. And I'm really curious for a book to take a noble and bring them to awareness of the corruption that is within their system, for them to see something and be like, this is wrong. And then, you know, in my own book that I'm writing, I've kind of tried to play with that on a subplot because I'm really curious about those stories. So that might have just pulled my brain to being like, revenge. I want to hear Jabari's experience. And I didn't get to for a long time.
That'd be a cool novella to have kind of like an in-between or like a backstory, like a prequel a little bit, or it'd be an interesting take for sure. I agree.
So Jonas has said there were parts of the training that hit pretty hard. Felt like Winter was coaching himself as a writer. So we'll get into spoilers in a bit. I keep going to say stuff in a minute. Wait a second, that's a spoiler. And Jonas saying that's wild about your little story there as well. Okay. And good point. Doesn't get done much. I don't think this is going into spoiler.
That's a restriction.
No, it is. I think it's a light spoiler, so I'll save that.
I mean, are there any like final kind of like spoiler-free thoughts that we want to share before we get into the spoilers?
I guess if people are thinking of reading this who haven't read it, we've said that it's quite action heavy. It's got inspirations around West Africa. It's got elements of nobility and like fighting the little guy versus nobility. And it's got dragons. I think that's not a spoiler. That's in the name, I guess. And it's got some other cool elements like that. The magic system. Can we talk about the magic system as non-spoiler?
I mean, it's a fantasy book. There's a magic system.
Yeah, there's a magic system. That'll do. And I think that's pretty much all you need to know if you want to make the decision. Is there anything else you think is useful for people to know if they're going to make the decision to read this?
One thing that they said is that it's really gore heavy. I didn't find it gore heavy. I thought that it was very readable as far as if people who are maybe more sensitive to the violence. Like, it was either easy to skip, but it didn't really go that heavy to me. I don't know if you guys agree, but that was one critique I heard.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was gore heavy. I can't even think of which bit people would say is gore.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but that's what it was. People said that like, oh, it's so, and I'm like, maybe they've never read anything that had combat, because it was tastefully done. I thought it was relevant.
I've just been reading some pretty gory books at the minute, going into spooky seasons. I'm pretty numb to it at the minute. But okay, shall we go into spoiler warning?
Let's do it. Let's do spoiler warning.
Okay, so now it is up. We can say whatever we like. Who's going to go first?
Where were all the dragons? That's my question.
Yeah,
that's one of my. The whole book, I was like, where? It's literally called Rage of Dragons. Can we have some dragons? Any dragons? And then you don't really get anything until the end. And again, it's kind of like it's really setting up. You know, it's the first book in a series. It's doing a lot of setup, and we get there eventually, and then we're just kind of like left at the very end. That was one of like my biggest disappointment. Was like, it's called Rage of Dragons, guys.
Yeah,
where they at?
I had a big, like, what's the word, at the beginning when they had that awesome dragon fights battle at the beginning, and then it went to, oh, we're in a little village and here's this guy. I was like, oh, not this, because I've done Wheel of Time, which is that. I've done of Blood and Fire, which is that. Another one, which is that. And I was like, oh, I just want the dragons. I just want the dragons back. And the I forgot her name, but the woman that was leading that battle as well, I was like, I want more of her, but she's now in history because it's like 200 years later or whatever. Yeah, I definitely had that. And I was expecting them throughout the whole story to come back, and they just didn't until right near the end.
Yeah, the very end of the book, we get a little bit of dragons, but
yeah, get a bit left.
That's kind of what we were talking about at the beginning too, though, right? It's like those first, that prologue, the first chapters, you're like, okay, we're in it. There's like crazy dragons, shit's gonna go down, and then there's just no dragons for another 400 pages.
But it felt like if they did bring the dragons in the way he set up the story, it wouldn't have worked. Like that him being the fighter, if he had dragons, they were so brutal. And that's one thing that I always worry about with dragons in books is that they're too overpowered, because they really are. They're like gods in this world. And I always like stories where they show the intellect of a dragon, or the personality of greed or wisdom, whatever it is. I like those stories, or Ryan Cahill of Blood and Fire. Like, I like the way that they did dragons at the start, where I don't know how powerful they are, but I like the personality of the dragon versus the power, of it. So if they would have had the dragons, it might have, but I have the similar thing with the magic system. It didn't work for me for the story. It just felt like, I think you talked about, because magic,
Yeah, totally, yeah.
I got that vibe from it. So I wonder if he couldn't add dragons to make the story work.
Maybe, yeah. There was like certainly an aspect of like plot convenience to the magic, I think. I feel like we only got a hint of what the actual magic system is. There was some like foreshadowing as to like, maybe they're like like in this world only women can use this magic. Maybe there is an aspect to it where men can also use the magic. Maybe there are other, we see the ability to like drag somebody into hell basically and have them attacked by demons, or the Colossus aspect of it. I'm sure there are other types of magic that just haven't been introduced yet, or other types of gifted. I wish we could have seen more of that instead of having to like potentially go into books 2, 3, etc. to see that.
And Jonas said something that I thought the exact same as well. When the little one broke free, I was 100% expecting dragons to just kill everything and go on a rampage, and it didn't happen. And then he also said, what even happened to that youngling? Yeah, forgot about. I enjoyed the magic system, and I think partly only because, so I forgot what they called it when they sort of enrage and they become like big. That element of the rest of it I wasn't so, but at the same time, and this just happened to be pure coincidence, I was making my video about I'm making a video about different classes in D&D and books that relate to it, and I was like, oh, this is actually what a barbarian is like. Like, they just go into a rage and they just go crazy and stuff. But the whole gifted thing was a bit weird. The going into the demon realm should have been explained better, I think, because that wasn't overly explained. It's just like it's pulled, or for me anyway. Maybe I'm too stupid to understand.
I don't think that's what it is.
It's but it's sort of just like, oh yeah, it comes from this demon realm that we don't really understand how or why. I thought that was going to have more of an impact, and it didn't. So there were a few problems, but I wouldn't say I disliked the magic system. It just was there. I guess you're right, because magic, it was just that, wasn't it?
It was compelling. I'll say, like, as a system, it was very intriguing. Just for the story, it felt more like a plot device that allowed Tau to train and get super strong, because he wasn't gifted. I forget if they went into that, why he was able to do what nobody else really could, so that he could power himself up so much. But yeah, it was fascinating, like the way that the demon world would bleed over into it, where Tau is like seeing, hallucinations. I wanted more of that, like the psychological warfare of what it costs you to dip into that power, and how that was that worth it for him. I wanted it not to be worth it for him to go and do all this, like die over and over and over again just to get stronger, and then for what? To kill this guy, and then lose his love, like I wanted that to be more upfront, or more on display, because that would, otherwise it just felt like a training ground to me. But the enraging, the enlarging, it was a cool system for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was really like, when she kind of explains to him like, oh, anybody can do this, and she kind of like shows him how to like meditate or whatever it was that he was doing to kind of like go into this demon realm. And I was like, oh shit, like this is gonna be cool. He's gonna go in there. I see what he's about to do, going in there to like do the training to fight all these demons. I wanted so much more of that, and I wanted it to be like worth a lot more, and I just didn't feel like that paid off. And I think another thing to kind of keep in mind too, though, is that this was, I think, Evan Winter's like first ever novel, and that he had published this as like he just like, indie published it himself online first before it eventually got picked up. And I don't think there was like much that was like edited afterwards when it got picked up and published officially. So I think that's a good thing to keep in mind too, is it is like a very first novel of someone's, and apparently it gets a lot tighter as the series progresses into book 2. So
yeah,
I'm always impressed. Yeah, I'm always impressed when first novels are like that. I only learned recently from your Discord channel that the Throne of Glass was Sarah Maas's first book, and I was talking crap about it, and then I was like, oh, I feel really bad now because it's actually good, bearing in mind she's like 16 and it's her first novel. I was like, that's actually extremely impressive. Wasn't for me, but
I mean, at least first published novel. You know, anyone who publishes a novel usually has like a dozen novels under their belt before they felt comfortable putting one out, right? But still.
So Jonas has said the magic gets a little bit bogged down to some of those technicalities around dragon summoning. Maybe there was some of that could have been left aside, i.e. the summoning coterie. I also thought there was going to be some sort of reveal that actually men can use that magic and be gifted as well, especially at the point where he is told that he can go into the demon area. I thought that's where the story was going to go, that he was going to go in a demon area, learn how to take the essence or whatever it's called and start using magic himself, but it didn't. It went down the training route, which is fine. Ian says, was it more of a soft magic system, or were there clearly defined rules? I think it was supposed to be clearly defined rules.
I'd say it's kind of
they had some
leaning hard.
Yeah.
Like it was very much like this is just like how the magic works. You can do these things. I don't think rules were specifically outlined aside from the fact that only women could do it.
Yeah, and if the women stayed tethered long enough, they could be found by the demons. I think that was the only other rule that I remember.
And it was something to do with noble blood as well, was there? There was like a specific bloodlines could do that as well. Hectate Reeds is here saying hello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. Jonas also agreeing, not sure what power he was drawing, and also said kind of soft as well. Then there was random exposition drops. Yeah, that's a good point. It'd be dope if he could enrage himself. Not sure how that would have worked, but yeah. And none of us have read the second book, have we? None of us got onto the second book, so we can't really talk about if it does fix some of these issues in book 2 or not. But we have heard from others on the Discord that it does.
Is it safe to say, Eric, that you probably will not read book 2?
I wouldn't. I mean, if you guys wanted to do a book 2 buddy read, I would do it, but I don't have high hopes for it. I did forget one non-spoiler thing. I listened to the audiobook. So I read the first 25 pages and I was like, I can't. The audiobook helped me a lot because the narrator did accents. So, and maybe this is a disagreement I had with you guys, that I didn't feel the African setting when I was reading it. I felt it in names. There was a couple of verbiage things that made it feel like it, but the environment felt more just like a traditional fantasy European setting. Like I didn't get the vibes, but when I listened to the voices, that's the only way I was tethered to this is an African story. So I don't know what he could have done differently to make me feel that. Maybe it's referring to certain local fauna or things that I know it's not Africa. It's not. It's based on Africa. So I don't know what you do in that situation, but it felt more medieval Europe to me than it did African.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would like to see more cultural stuff. Sorry.
Yeah.
You go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say the only reason that I had it in my head that it was Africa was because I looked at the map at the beginning of the book for quite a bit, and it was very, I guess, sand colored, and it sort of looked Africa-esque, I guess. But that was all. Yeah, if we're just talking about the text in the book, I don't think he did much setting that up, other than names.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I would have liked to see more like cultural elements, but I did also wonder if it was done on purpose that way to make it a little bit more palatable to the general public.
Yeah, we said before we went live about the ranks. I've got them here, and I'm still not really sure how to differentiate them or say them. And that's just me being an uncultured swine with the African stuff. But it does make it hard when I don't know like how you say a heishi and in the low food.
Oh yeah,
I think they call it a hashi. if I remember from
Yeah.
the book pronunciation.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
So when you're reading that, I see the word, forget what that actually means in terms of like noble, military, or whatever, and then have to get the context from the rest of the sentence or paragraph to be like, oh, okay, that meant that
Yeah.
he was a noble in the military, which is, I guess, a problem. But yeah, that's it.
I'd be curious from your perspective, Eric, how you think they handled the militaristic side of the book.
I think they did. They did well. I've read other books where I feel like it was just so far off. This never gave me a off put because they did military wrong. I think they did it really well. Like I said, the strategy, he seems very educated on how combat would work. I mean, I wasn't trained in knives and spears or anything like that. So obviously I have a different combat structure, but I did jujitsu and stuff. And I know Evan Winters, I believe he's a big jujitsu practitioner. So people give him credit for that's why he's so good at choreographing things, because he's thinking about, obviously you don't train with knives and jujitsu, but you are a lot more hands-on and manipulating things. So nothing in that bothered me with the military. It was just, I think I do struggle with military focused novels. Now, R.A. Salvatore in The Legend of Drizzt, that is the combat that I like. It's kind of broad, then it zooms in for a little bit, then it goes broad, and we talk about bigger sweeping movements. And he does really good swordplay stuff, but it's just shorter and more compressed, but still excellent and expert. And so that feels less military. This is probably the best military portrayal I've seen or read or heard in a book that I've recently went for. So yeah, that's
a pretty positive thing to say. Maybe he'll have that on the back of the third book. Between chapters, says. Jonas said, don't put up every single comment of mine, so I'm just going to put it up.
We like them.
Yeah. So one thing I did want to say that I was not expecting at all was, and this is very spoilers, so if you are still here, I'm about to spoil a very big thing towards the end of the book. But when it went through sort of the cycle of his dad sacrificed himself for him, and then his mentor, and then the mentor came in, I was like, oh, okay, the mentor's going to die as well. Like, this is where we're going. And then the mentor dies. And then I thought that was going to be it, and that we were just going to go from there. And then his love interest gets killed as well, and I was like, Jesus Christ, Evan Winter, like, yeah, chill out a bit with killing everyone, because usually there's like, you know, a couple, and then they're like, stop and let the guy off, but he just killed everyone that this guy cares about, and I was like, oh wow, okay, this that's why he is so full of rage, I guess. So yeah, that shocked me when she died near the end there, because I just was not expecting it. I thought he'd had his fill of dead.
Never enough.
Overall, how did you guys feel about the ending of the book?
Can you remind me what it was? Let's.
I was hoping by me asking the question, like, you guys would answer it, and it would jog my memory.
Yeah, I feel bad that I don't remember all of it. But the thing that sticks out for me, I'll talk about that, is this plays into something else I want to talk about. It's a matriarchal society, but I felt like that didn't get much play. It was just known that the women were the leadership. I would have liked to have seen more agency in his love interest, as well as some of the other female. I didn't really get that. It was a lot of men in the matriarchy that we were talking about. So in the ending, it was the real big moment where I felt like his love took a ton of agency and sacrifice for the people she loved. And it was because she recognized the damage that was going to happen if she didn't take this sacrifice. So as sad as it was, I felt it was a very powerful moment in the book. And that's what stuck with me from the ending.
This is, I guess, says a lot about it. I cannot remember the ending, so it can't be that memorable.
I remember we finally got dragons and people died.
Yeah, I remember that they let the youngling go.
Yeah,
sort of. I remember that bit, but I don't actually remember where it left off to hit into book 2. Maybe someone in the comments is gonna have to let us know.
How did the book end?
I'm looking up on your Discord now.
Check what our final thoughts were about the book, quick.
I just felt like it was kind of open. Like I don't feel like I don't remember feeling resolution except for the sacrifice. But then I guess it was set up for we're clearly going to a book 2, which is, you know, that's a risk to take, especially as a new author. Like not, you know, like for me, I have to resolve the ending, but I felt like he didn't really do that. And I don't know if that's because he had confidence that there was going to be a book 2, regardless if he got picked up or not, which is, you know, baller move, I guess. But it didn't leave me remembering, which I guess is not a good thing.
Yeah. I know Dylan as well mentions the coup that was kind of going on that I had totally forgot about until he just said that. That was kind of going on between like the queen, etc. There you go, the nobles who launched the coup.
Oh yeah, I remember now. So there was the people. They basically betrayed. The other people. Yeah, that wasn't really explained as to why. I don't think.
I know we also kind of like ended with that big transformation for Tao, where he was like, oh, okay, like he understands that he's kind of like a weapon of vengeance. He had that final duel with the Abassi. Abbas, was that his name? Where he like finally faced off against like his rival. Killed his dad or whoever the case may be. And then there was that whole kind of like subplot too between like who was going to be the new like queen's lover. Or whatever.
Yeah.
I think you obviously spoke quite a bit about the revenge plot element of it as well, and I was expecting at some point for him to realize, oh, actually these are just other people that have other missions, and it didn't really happen. It sort of did to was it Keelan? Was that the one or I can't remember his name, but the one that was actually sort of a good guy, sort of. None of them were really good guys. It sort of happened, but it's still, I actually did get very fatigued about it just being all about the revenge as well. When every single decision was about revenge this, revenge that, I did get fatigued as well, to be fair.
It's a long book, a lot of pages for revenge, you know, and it felt like revenge and training to get revenge, you know. But yeah, was the Civil War worth it? That's an exploration I would like, because I feel that, you know, I feel that. And I also realize I go to read to escape reality, but revenge feels like a very real thing that's going on in the world, like constantly. And so like, I don't want more of it. But I do understand it's important if you can take a lesson out of it and you can make me feel something or question like, oh my gosh, even if I believe you, like it's still, I'm still really excited to see that message in a book. I just didn't see that.
It's really interesting how different things like make other people click, because like I would have never even thought about that from a military point of view, because I've never been military. So this is why getting on YouTube and talking to people is always so great.
Exactly, it's the great thing about books.
Exploring. Jonas said the Hendy warlord really wanted to wipe them out, but they didn't. But they decided to give them a month. Not sure how the Nemesis escaped. We
have a lot of unresolved questions. That's a good thing of a series.
But I think that's also one of the things that I did get confused. I'm not great with political intrigue or any of that stuff when it's in a book, or even like Star Wars. When it got into the political things in the movies, I was kind of like, I get lost as a kid. Maybe now I can handle it. But there was a lot of revenge, a lot of training, a lot of Tao, but then they would bring in these other plots after so much bulk of training and fighting that I would get lost in the combat, that I would forget details about who was going and talking to who about this coup. That was kind of a dope rhyme.
Yeah, it was good.
To do that. I'm gonna flow, man. But yeah, I kind of got lost. So then that was such a small fraction. Like I said, 70% of the book is combat, and then you have this other 5 or 10% that's intrigue and political stuff, and then you got 5% dragons. So like it was just, I got lost in those little details, and they kind of went over my head a bit.
Definitely. Jonas also said that it's a difficult task for the writer to draw an extreme loner character who also needs to connect with his warrior brothers, which is very true. It was, I think you said earlier, actually very reminiscent of Kaladin from the Stormlight Archives in that as well, which is one of the most loved series of all times. So I guess he looked at that and went, let's do that.
Is there anything that you guys, should you read book 2, that you would like to see in book 2?
Dragons.
Dragons.
Dragons
That's what I was
throughout,
gonna say.
please. Every chapter, at least one dragon.
Yeah.
I don't know where the story goes, but because of them releasing the youngling after finding out, oh, actually, they've been basically holding it captive this whole time, it would be cool if the actual story arc did become dragons versus these warriors. I'm not sure if that's the direction it goes, but that would be quite a cool storyline to continue. I assume it continues the war storyline, which makes sense, but I don't think so. I assume how it was left off with him sort of realizing he's a weapon, that he's going to be a very different character in that book than he was in this character, is what I would predict anyway.
Yeah, I'd say the only other thing aside from dragons that I would like to see in book 2 is just exploring the magic system a little bit more. I'd like to see other ways that energy or that gifted system can be used. And I'd also like to see him be able to tap into that magic and see how he uses that as well.
Yeah. I'd like to see the demon world. I'd like to see Tao going into the demon world and having conversations with demon leaders and stuff like that, where it starts to be a lot more personal because now he is this weapon. And then once that happens, I would like to see that creates a bridge where the demons can enter our world, which would then bond humans, enemies, to be like, we need to get our stuff together because this is the real enemy, and realize the futility of this revenge. That would be really exciting for me.
That would be cool. You should be a writer.
Oh, maybe I should think about doing that, huh?
Rachel's just turned up as well. So hello, Rachel. Thank you for coming along.
Nice.
Have either of you read The Painted Man? Or I think it's called The Warded Man over in America.
I have not.
Okay.
Nope.
Because that's got a heavy emphasis on demon stuff as well, I guess is the best way to do it. So I was going to ask how you think they differed, but neither of you read it. So there we go. But that
could be a future buddy read.
Yeah, maybe. It's got some very dark themes though, I guess. So maybe not. But that they did it in a way where there's like this demon. So the demons come out at night and you have to ward your property and stuff to keep them out. And they did it where it started the book looking like it was going to be about humanity dealing with these demons, but actually the story was about the demons within civilization and like within humankind, and actually like there's worse things happening in civilization than these demons outside, and then events happen and they have to try and deal with the demons then at that point. And I thought this was going to go down a familiar way where it was going to be like humans fighting humans, and then all of a sudden the dragons were going to be released and they were both going to have to work together to deal with the demons, or there was going to be a portal to the demon realm that opens or something like that. But we didn't go that way, so I wonder if that happens in book 2 or 3. I think it's going to be a trilogy. I think I'm right in saying that. So
it's always weird speculating about things that already exist.
Yeah.
The books are written, we're it would be great to see.
Especially, Rachel said she's read book 2 as well and doesn't want to say anything to spoil one accident. So she's probably listening to this like, that all happens, guys. Just read book 2.
Just read the book.
I mean, it's good to know that she enjoyed book 2 more so. So
that's good. Jonah saying that Ishogo, is that how you say that?
Maybe.
Is awesome. A little close to what I'm working on. But rendered wonderfully. And that scene where Tao takes a stand to defend Zui was good. So at that scene, that was the scene where I thought he was going to all of a sudden have magic and he was somehow going to blast them all and save the day. And then she just dies. And I was like, oh, okay, we're going there. That's even more dark. But didn't happen.
No.
Cool. Do we have any like final thoughts as we approach 7 p.m. my time, our 1 hour mark?
Rachel said needs book 3 or he's going to become another office situation.
Yeah, we don't need any more of that.
No, I don't know how long ago book 2 came out, to be fair. I going back to praising the author again, I guess. This is a very impressive first published book. If it's a first published book, I think. And he did do something different.
Dramatic pause.
Dramatic frozen Joe. This is going to be good. Whatever he says.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I think I'm back. I completely forgot where I was now. But yeah, I think he did a good job at bringing like the African culture into fantasy, because I've not seen that done before. There's obviously a lot of Icelandic and stuff like that, so it's a good for him for trying to bring some of his culture into fantasy to share with other people as well. But other than that, I don't think I have any other closing thoughts we haven't already spoken about.
Yeah, I'd say on my side, like I said kind of earlier, I definitely felt like as the book progressed, it kind of created its own identity, and you got to understand a little bit more like what his vision for the series was. So I will definitely continue it. I will definitely read book 2 because I'd like to see where it goes before I kind of like make a final decision on the series. But I think that's kind of like my closing remark. Is it was good. I really enjoyed the book. I think anyone else who is interested in reading it after watching this, if you're still here despite the spoilers, should pick up a copy of the book. I know we have a link here if you want to, support the channel, support the community. You can always scan the QR code that pops up on the screen there. You can order yourself a copy as well. But I definitely think it's worth picking up. I definitely think it's worth reading. Eric, any closing thoughts on your side? Is there anything that you took away from it as a writer, even despite not liking it?
Yeah, I think what I took away is, well, first of all, I will say I'm not going to steer anyone away from this book by any means. It's not. It's super well written. It's just not my cup of tea. And I think as an author, when I read books and I connect or disconnect, what I do get is inspired or be like, yeah, I just want to make sure that my magic system, and this is my big takeaway, is I want to make sure, because I didn't really understand this, make sure that my magic system was relevant, because in this, it's super cool. Rage of the Dragon. I really thought there was so much more that I wanted to know about the magic system, and compared to Revenge. Like, I was really fascinated with Ishiago, I think is what they called it, or how I remember hearing it in the audiobook, that I wanted to play there so much. I like the training grounds, like this getting ready and kind of like the culture of the training camp. I think we could have shrunk that and then gotten into the demon realm, and like that would have been much more, the pacing would have been better for me. And finding more relevance in that magic system. Why is it important? And, there was a limitation on how many people they could enrage or banish to Ishiago, or whatever it's called, the demon realm. And I dig that. You start to get these kind of, like we said, it was soft magic with leaning hard. Yeah. It was just like always on the cusp of it. So as a writer, I see that and I'm like, okay, that it was still great. But when I'm writing, I want to make sure, and now I understand how, and I use this book actually when I was in my edits now, is going back and saying, did I do that? Do I have a magic system that's relevant and important, and it moves things forward, and it needs to be there? And I think the answer is yes. So in reading this, I got more confidence because I learned from other people and say, okay, I'm going to apply this to my writing as a check. Again, it's a choice. You can have a soft magic system. You don't have to have a hard one. And Evan Winter is not saying you screwed up. I'm saying for what I wanted to see, it wasn't there. So when I write, I need to make sure it's there. So that was helpful to me. So it was worth my time. It just isn't going to go on my top 5 shelf, and that's okay. But it is super well written, and I'm so inspired as an independent aspiring author that it can be done, that you can create a first book with such epic scale and a beautiful story, that it just didn't land with me, but it's connecting with so many people. So it gives me hope. So I walked away with hope that I can make this work too, and appreciation to see people from diverse populations telling diverse stories and them being accepted on such a large scale. It's exciting for me, whether I liked the book or didn't.
I don't think I can wrap it up better than that.
I was just gonna.
Joe's gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, do it, Joe.
I was just gonna point out that he did Evan Winter did a video with Daniel Green about self-publishing and how he got so successful in self-publishing. That might be worth a little watch for you, Eric. It was quite. I seem to read a lot, watch a lot of videos on self-publishing, even though I'm not writing a book or anything. It's just I just find it interesting how books come together. Maybe. But that was quite an interesting little video there as well. Jonah saying indeed, and then Rachel saying well done. To all of it.
I agree. I agree with indeed and 100%, totally.
Do you want to tell us about the next buddy read?
Yeah, of course. So if you enjoyed this buddy read, or if you're looking forward to reading our next one starts October 1st, where we're going to be reading Grave Empire by Richard Swan. If you're interested in joining in that buddy read, you can just join our Discord community. There'll be a link in the description of, I guess not in the description of my video because I'm not streaming, but we got this up here. Thanks, Joe. We got the QR code, so you can scan the QR code to join our Discord community. You should do that if you haven't already. And we're also launching a Patreon. I'm launching a Patreon that's actually being launched on Tuesday, where we'll also have an additional quarterly read as well. So there will be a new book coming up there too. But if you want to partake in Grave Empire, it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited. It's my first Richard Swan book. I've never read anything by him before. And I know this is a new, first book in a new series, and you don't have to have read any of the previous books. So this is going to be a really really great place to start.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I'll be in that one.
I just found something. So the second book of Rage of the Dragons came out in 2020. I just looked that up, but I also found out that in last year, a video game of Rage of the Dragons came out.
Oh,
Rage of the Dragons Neo is like a Street Fighter looking kind of combat game. So I'm gonna have to do some digging there.
That is cool. Also, yeah, agreed with Rachel. Fully, the graphics that you put together for this show, popping them up on the screen there, the background, all of it, incredibly well done. Great production value. Very much appreciate you. Very much appreciate.
No, that's good.
All the graphics.
This is I'm just going to put this up because we've not used it, so I feel like we can put it up now.
If you
want to buy the Grave Empire and join along, then there you go.
Click it.
That's there. Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, Rachel saying to join the buddy read.
You should absolutely join the buddy read.
So, yeah.
And then maybe Rachel, you can join us in our next live stream and come and hang out with us and chat about the book because you've got a YouTube channel too.
Indeed. Cool. Any other final words?
When I was a boy, no.
I just want to thank you both again. This is our first time kind of virtually meeting for real. We've obviously been chatting back and forth in the Discord community and on YouTube for months, but it was great to meet you guys. I appreciate you guys joining the buddy read, suggesting the buddy read, putting all these things together. And it's just nice to have a little community like this. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys.
And I appreciate you for creating the Discord community. It's been a wonderful bright spot in a very lonely journey of reading when I don't have any friends who actually read.
That's why I started a YouTube channel.
That's exactly what I did as well. I found one. I was at a co-working centre the other day, and one guy walked past with, I think it was book 6 of Malazan in his hand, and I was like, I'm going to talk to him. He's my new friend. I need to talk to him and make a friend. But other than, I don't know. That's why I do this as well, to have good chats about books. I'm guessing you don't know who's going to be on the stream for the October buddy read yet.
No, but we'll figure it out, and we'll definitely announce it when we have it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, exactly. Right?
I'm trying to
Rachel
find.
Gets it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess jump on the Discord to see who will be on the next stream, as well as we will announce it at some point.
There you go. And if there's no other final words, I can sign off with a thank you for watching. Reading